Joining us for this evening's event. We've kind of taken a hiatus from the gathering of artists, and so it's really exciting to have something to share with you. And we thought that the Reiman Gardens holiday train would be a perfect thing, since I know lots of folks haven't been able to get there in the last few weeks just because we all know why. And we're really excited to have Jacqueline Venersensky, one of the education coordinators from Reiman Gardens, here to give us a special behind the scenes look at the holiday train. I did some research earlier, but of course I don't have my piece of paper in front of me. I think the trains have been coming to Ames since about 2015, if I'm remembering right. And I've only been there in real life one time, so I'm kind of excited to see it again this year. I'm not going to waste any more time. We'll let Jacqueline talk us through what she has to share. So if you have any questions along the way, I'm sure she will not mind interruptions. You can unmute yourself, I believe, and ask a question if you'd like, or you can use the chat function and I will see the question and I can read it for you if that's easier. So without further ado, I will turn this over to Jacqueline.
Okay, hello everybody, and I am in the conservatory at Reiman Gardens tonight. We actually have another virtual event. Our virtual volunteer appreciation event is happening tonight on the other side of the conservatory. So if you hear another voice behind me, or if you pick up some other sound, that's what else is going on. So here's how we're going to do this. I'm going to do about 15 minutes of presentation, and it might be a little bit more, a little bit less. We'll see how it goes. And I am happy to answer whatever questions you want. And if you need me to run around and spotlight a particular area, the trains are not running tonight, but I can sure run over and take a look at things. I have some video and some photographs that I'm going to run through that show everybody what the exhibit looks like this year. And then I also have some time-lapse video of the installation process, along with some notes from our horticulture staff and some general interpretation and history about you know, what pieces are included in the RG Express. That's the name of our little train that we have here at Reiman Gardens. And I can tell you about the history of tell you about what has gone into building RG Express here at the Gardens and the company that we worked with to do it. And I find one of the things that I find most interesting is the materials that are used to create the pieces, because they are all natural materials. So I'll go through those things. As Jen said, go ahead and ask questions along the way if you have them, and we can certainly go through questions at the end, and I can go over more information at that time. So I'll do the, I think I'm going to start out with the little video I put together, and I'll kind of talk as we go through it. I might stop here and there, and if anybody has questions, go ahead and chime in. And after that, I'll do the time-lapse video of the installation, so you can see kind of all the process that goes into making all of it. So bear with me for just a minute while I get shifted over to my video here. Let's see here. So I am going to open this file. I'm going to pause it, and I'm going to go to Zoom, and I'm going to share my screen. Apologize for the live commentary. All right. Sometimes the train derails, and that's what that looks like, but that's not happening tonight. Okay, so this year at Reiman Gardens, this is looking from the conservatory down our main hallway. And I just want to mention one really quick thing before I get started. Jen, can you send me a quick text if this is coming through okay? I want to make sure everybody can hear what I'm saying, and make sure you all can see my screen. So one really cool thing that we did this year at the Gardens is we had a special grass display. And out in our campanile garden, we planted a whole bunch of grasses, and it was called the Grassery. And this was based on the fact that early in the summer, we featured a couple of Nature Connects pieces that were African animals, a zebra and a wildebeest. And so we wanted to create a sort of savanna-like grass display. So we had a ton of grasses that had to come out this fall so that we could plant our tulip bulbs for next spring. And so we kept a lot of those grasses and we dried them, and we've used them fairly extensively throughout our indoor displays. And so all of those wreaths that are along the top there, down the hallway, all have some bundles of grasses that were used to decorate them. A lot of our displays at the gardens, a lot of our indoor displays at the gardens this year include dried botanicals from materials that we actually grew at the gardens. And so that's something that I personally am really excited about. I think it's really great when you can use the things around you to create really beautiful displays. So just a little side note that I wanted to share, that's something that I'm excited about. So this kind of shows the experience coming down the hallway, and of course into the conservatory. Video just catching up there. We sort of have one-way traffic through our conservatory this year. And as you come in, we always start with the Dinky. The Dinky is the train that used to run from, there it is, the little trolley that used to run from Morrill Hall on campus to downtown Ames. And so this is the scale replica of Morrill Hall. This is constructed entirely of natural materials, and as we go along, I can tell you about what natural materials are included there. You can see there are a variety of types of bark and branches and leaves. There's a gourd to make the spire there over on the right. And there is some fungus that makes the entry here. You can see the detail, the little acorns, the pine scales that are used, the branches. There are some cloves used there as finials and as decor around the windows. There's a little inside the hallway. And there is just a polyurethane coating the entire outside as a protective coating, but you can see the level of detail to create the 6-panel door. And again, these are all natural materials. You can see the words that are on the actual building where it says chapel and museum and different things like that are also included in this little tiny model. And, you know, I was just telling someone today when I was an undergraduate student, oh, you can see there along the top of the building, all the detail that goes into making all of those buildings. Again, here's the gourd that makes that sort of domed roof on the south end of the building, and the detail on the finial on top, all from natural materials. And there's the Dinky. Of course, this doesn't exist anymore, but this is the model of the train that used to run, used to cross College Creek and kind of follow the path that goes under where 6th Street comes across and meets University Boulevard, that used to follow that route. And so it also stopped at the hub. This is the hub, the scale model of the hub, and the Dinky runs back and forth. And this is the first part of this model train that they install. You can see it'll stop at the hub, and then it'll go on like it's going to downtown Ames, and then it comes back, stops at the hub again, and then it goes over and stops at Morrill Hall, and then it goes to the other end, and it just runs back and forth all day. This is to the right-hand side as you come into the conservatory. And then to the left-hand side, across from where all of this is, you see the model of our own butterfly wing here at Reiman Gardens. Now again, this is made entirely from natural material. Even that glass that you're looking through, like the sort of model glass, is made from resin, from pine resin. I don't know more detail about it than that at this time, but it is all made from natural materials. So that's the butterfly wing. And then we come around to our model of Beardshire Hall. This really, to me, is one of the most impressive pieces. It's one of the largest pieces that we have. And you can see, again, the level of detail that goes into it. There's a little gourd that makes the lantern on the front step. That's the doorway on the north side of the building. And just around from Beardshire Hall is the model of the Campanile. You can see the train goes around on two separate tracks. There's a lower track and an upper track. And that was showing both of them. These are images and video of the detail of the Campanile. You can see the bells in the Campanile are all made from tiny gourds. There are pine scales and seeds and woven grasses and bark and bamboo that make all the detail of the structure. More detail of the bells. There's the detail of the tiny little clock. And one thing that's really cool as well about the Campanile, you can see the little pine cones and the pine scale that make the top of the Campanile itself, and the little scrolled finials on the side. And in the conservatory, we have speakers embedded in this G-scale installation. G-scale is garden scale, and that is the term in the railroad community, the model railroad community, that refers to the size and scale of the train. In that we have embedded in this G-scale train model is a speaker that plays music from the actual Campanile. It plays recordings of music from the Campanile on campus. So if you come through the conservatory, you can hear the bells of the Campanile on the Iowa State campus. All right, so you can see we started at Beardshire Hall and we go around the corner here. We go across our lovely decorated tree. They did a really beautiful job on the tree in the conservatory this year. I really feel like all of the trees on the interior of the building look better this year than they have ever before. Again, you can see the dried materials decorating the top of the tree. All those harvested here from Reiman Gardens. We had our whole classroom filled with materials, grasses and flowers and things that were drying. Harvested from outdoors. All right, and then we have one of the later additions. All these other pieces that I've shown up to now are original pieces that were installed. The Marston Water Tower, which is just to the left, there it is, with gourds again and bark. The Marston Water Tower was an addition. The Applied Imagination is the name of the company that created the initial pieces and the whole model train system. And we worked with that company, which is based out of Kentucky and operated by a person who I believe is a retired landscape architect. And this Kentucky-based company worked with us and introduced this exhibit in 2015. The Marston Water Tower was a piece that was added in 2017. That year, our theme at Reiman Gardens for the year was water, and so it was an appropriate addition that year. And I believe the history on the Marston Water Tower on campus is that it was the tallest steel structure. At the time it was built, it was the tallest steel structure west of the Mississippi. And that, of course, is still standing as a historic structure on campus, on the Iowa State campus. And then in 2018, we added the model of the butterfly wing, which is the piece that I showed earlier. So resuming with our video here, we also have several features of trains and bridges that sort of represent a variety of bridges throughout the state of Iowa. The Kate Shelley Bridge is one that comes to mind. That's a locally known and sort of famous bridge in Boone County. There was also a model of a covered bridge. Of course, the covered bridges of Madison County are famous. So we have a variety of bridges for both the upper and the lower track trains. The train on the upper track again going through. There's always a sort of main mountain area so we can sort of hide some of the workings of the train model system. We work with the Central Iowa Garden Railway Society to install the pieces each year, along with the company Just Add Water, to set up the waterfalls and things that you see. Again, showing our derailed train. Just a picture. We haven't had any issues with that this year. Okay, so give me just a minute to go through and get our next video up of the installation Sorry, just a minute. Okay, so this is the installation in hopefully that's not too loud. The installation in 2018. This is what the process looked like. So it's always a 2-day process, and we start with a bare naked conservatory. And we always start with installing, I'll just let this roll, and then I'll go back and share some notes in a little bit. We start with those pieces kind of in the middle. We get the track set up. And you can see it takes quite a team of staff and volunteers working together to put all this, to pull all this off. And there's our covered bridge for that year. And the second day, we start to put up that sort of mountain in the middle. This year, we already had a large structure in the center of the conservatory that really stayed there throughout the year. And so installation was a little bit trickier. I'll talk about that in another minute here when I go over some notes. Oh, I misspoke when I said it was a 3-day process. It's more than a 3-day process. Planting is always the last step. So we start with getting the train in place, getting the track in place. We get the water features in place, some of those bigger pieces, the Christmas tree, get the electrical pieces all taken care of. And then we can start adding the buildings. The Beardshire Hall and the Campanile, that covered bridge again. Worrell Hall and the Dinky over on the north side. And again, the planting is always the last piece. So you see the plants go into place. You know, it's drawing closer to the end. Lots of volunteers, lots of staff hours to get all of this done. During this time, of course, there are always shipments of poinsettias arriving and things like that. And by day 5, they usually have a pretty good handle on it. The water feature right there. One of the bridges. Beardshire. We do occasionally feature Thomas the Tank Engine. That's always a popular feature with the kids. There goes Thomas. I think that these cedar pieces, the initial plan was for cedar pieces to not be reused, but to be replaced every year. We have found that they have a longer life than we anticipated. The cedar pieces are most of those pieces that sort of build the mountain and cover up a lot of the workings. And we have found that the cedar pieces last longer than we thought they would, which is good for us because then we don't have to invest in changing them every year. And we just have to take care of them and store them well. Trains going on the upper and lower tracks. All right. The Central Iowa Garden Railroad Society, also known as CIGARS, is always a really critical part of helping us get this installed. And again, those dates apply to a previous year, not the current year. But we usually have the train display up well into the month of January. All right. So with that, sorry, now I'm a little bit lost. I need to get back to There we go. There we go. Sorry, 1 minute.
I don't know why it's not letting you unshare.
I don't know either. There we go. Okay, there we go. Goodness.
There it goes.
Okay, so I see some questions that I missed while I was talking. Okay, so we figured out the private chat. Everything looks good. The question was who created the models? So let me back up a little bit. And now that the models were created by a company called Applied Imagination. They are based out of Kentucky. Like I said, I think they are, I think that is a company that is owned, and I can give you exact details on it. Give me 2 shakes. Oopsie. That is a company that is owned by a man named Paul Butsey, who was always a big fan of trains and gardens. And after he graduated from the Ohio State University, I should say, in 1972 with a degree in landscape architecture, he formed his own company specializing in creative outdoor living spaces. And in 1975, he discovered the new G-scale trains. Let's see. And he added railroads to his company's repertoire in 1984. And by 1991, he formed Applied Imagination. This new company was a great artistic convergence of his work with landscaping, garden railroads, and his unique use of plant materials to create what he called botanical architecture. So Applied Imagination has created countless award-winning garden railway displays across the country with installations at the New York Botanical Garden, United States Botanic Garden in Washington, D.C., the Chicago Botanic Garden, the Morris Arboretum at the University of Pennsylvania, the Atlantic Botanic Garden, New Orleans Botanical Garden, Bellagio Conservatory in Las Vegas, the State Fair of Texas, Lauritsen Gardens in Omaha. And theirs is really cool. Theirs is actually outside, which is kind of a cool thing. And of course, also at Reiman Gardens. I've also seen the one, I've been in person to see the one at the U.S. Botanic Garden in Washington, D.C. And what's really fun about that is that it is like the Capitol building, and of course they have all kinds of cool architecture in Washington, D.C. to pull from. But it's the Capitol building. With a new piece they had added the last time I was there was the African American Museum, which was really cool because they used the resin that they use like on our conservatory, but then they also used like cross sections of black walnut shells to create sort of blocks that create buildings that really resemble the African American Museum's exterior. So they do some super creative stuff. We've been really lucky to work with them. Let me tell you a little bit about the specific, let me see if I can pull up. So I'm going to pull up a picture of Beardshire Hall, and then I will show you while you have a chance to look at that. I'll do a quick screen share again, and while you have a chance to look at that, I can tell you some of the materials that go into making that. Sorry, give me just 1 sec to get my ducks in a row here. Are there other questions? Does anybody have any other specific questions in the chat or? Let's see. Going to be a little bit of a trick because I do not have a double screen. I'm just on a laptop. So I will put this over to the right, and I will put the list over to the left, and hopefully we can make this work. Okay, so on this building, green magnolia leaves, shagbark hickory, cedar. The horizontal trim is bamboo and reeds and cut pine cones along with oak bark, willow stick, and birch bark. Mullions. The mullions are the curlicues on the roof, I think. Those are forsythia stems. The columns, the flat columns are made of mahogany pod bases, acorn caps, palm stems, winged euonymus, which is like burning bush. The round columns are honeysuckle branches, dusty miller, sugar pine cones, and scale. The top corners, let's see, I think that would be on the very tip top of the building, up by the dome, are magnolia pods and monkey face pods. And I'm not sure what the monkey face pod would be. That might be something that Mark could chime in on. And then the front pediment includes pistachios, pine cone scales, cinnamon curls, and sobulosum cones. And then the lamps are made of gourds, peppercorns, mung beans, and beech nuts. The door is birch bark. The windows are cattail reeds. The facade is grout. So I'm not sure that's exactly botanical, but it gives an important effect. And then the foundation is cork and elm tree. And then the other one that I thought would be fun to look at is is the Morrill Hall, because that one is so intricate as well. So let me get down here to that one. All right, you can see all the pine cone scale. I just love this one. So the doors are black bamboo and walnut. The roof is walnut bark, which you can actually see really well. That comes through really effectively. The facade, again, is grout. The foundation is made from horse chestnut, which you can also sort of see there. The window is the windows are black bamboo, and the details are made up of grapevine, pine cone scales, magnolia stems, reeds, roping, honeysuckle vine, gourds, cloves, acorn caps, mahogany pods, eucalyptus, shelf fungus, which is the sort of doorstep there, the stairway leading up, that is the shelf fungus, which I think you can also see really effectively, as well as driftwood. And then on the campanile, let's see if I can get up here to the campanile. The artistry that go into these is just exceptional. There are gourds that make up the little tiny bells on the inside. Grout and sand are applied to the exterior. Pine cone scales, eucalyptus pods, elm bark, cinnamon curls, mahogany pod stems, crepe myrtle, birch bark, contorta, witch hazel, I think those go together, rope, black bamboo twigs, dawn redwood, pine cones, pintado hearts, Araconia branches, and Stewartia, screw bean mesquite, pods, honeysuckle vine, and tallow berries. And then all of those same materials. I don't see, a couple of unique things that go into the hub and the dinky. I'll pull this up really quickly and then we can sort of open up for more questions. Oh, there we go. So the hub and the dinky, cedar, horse chestnut, bamboo, winged euonymus, birch bark, grout and sand, again on the outside, grapevine, contorta, witch hazel, badam, driftwood, kiwi vine, red eucalyptus, cloves, and birch twigs. So lots of natural materials, lots of different things that are identifiable. It's really fun to see what are the, what all the things are. You can see some of the specialty pieces on top there with the bark and the I mean, it's just amazing. The creativity and the artistry that go into creating these pieces is exceptional. So, with that, oh, and here we heard from our Wiederlichner. I've heard of monkey puzzle, but not monkey face. So I'm not sure what that is either. I've heard of a monkey face orchid, but I don't think that's what we're talking about. And they are contorta witch hazel, but I don't know. Oh, there are contorta witch hazel, but I don't, or contorta hazels, but I don't know if contorta witch hazels. So I don't know. There might be some, I might have misspoken about a couple of those plants. But that is the list that I have. So with that, that is most of my presentation. Jen,
one more question just came up on the main board, and it was a question I was actually going to ask myself. How is it stored during the off season? Where does this go?
We have giant boxes that we put everything in. So each building has its own box. The cedar pieces are just sort of long strips of bark. Each individual piece, and you can sort of see behind me at the top, each individual piece of cedar is about, between 6 and 8 feet long, I think, maybe up to 10 in some cases. And so those are really stacked on top of there, and those are stored in bundles. All of those big pieces are stored in university storage out at the ice arena. The university has storage out at the ice arena, and that's where we keep all of this extra stuff. So the pieces are incredibly, I mean, they're fairly sturdy, but of course, only to an extent, right? So we do have to be very careful with them. We have to store them very, very mindfully, very carefully. And so we got to be super careful with all that stuff. But we do store them in those
stay
big boxes.
Here in town.
They do. Yep, out at the ice arena. So that's off of Mortensen Road. And it's not too far from us.
Right.
And it's really just handled by staff. We don't just ship it off on a truck. We take it out there ourselves and store it carefully.
Right. When you're building, how many people, this is going to sound weird, but how many people know exactly what's going on? Like, how many experts are in the room and how many are just schlepping pieces around?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. Let me see. Give me one sec here. Let me turn to some notes that I have from.
There's one question that came up that I can answer. Someone's asking if this will be available for people who missed the presentation. We are recording this Zoom event, so depending on how that turns out when we go to download that, we should be able to have something to share. And maybe, Jacqueline, you'd be willing to share your materials separately. It might be a little cleaner that way, but we can work something out. There'll be something to share.
These things are, so of course you can come and see the pieces at the garden. We also, and the video that I put together is on YouTube. And so I can make that available to everybody there. I can share that link. So let me share a couple of notes from Jessie Liebenguth, who is our indoor horticulturist. She noted, and I shared some of this information, so some of it might be a repeat, but let me go ahead and share this. Installation is typically dinky first, upper trap second, lower track third. Buildings are placed and dug in, and then the entire shebang is classified, goodness gracious. It's not classified, it's electrified, so that the buildings light up and the trains run. Planting is last, as we saw in the video earlier. The layout of the track itself is always the same, as the track is attached to a frame that does not change. We could change it, but it would take some doing. So where we choose to build mountains and other features is what we might change the most. So this year, we started the display this year with a fairy theme. A fairy woodland theme that launched last January with our orchid display. And that big structure in the middle was was supposed to be a tree trunk. The idea was that when people came into the conservatory, they were shrunk down to the size of a fairy, and all of the things inside, like when you entered the conservatory, you were entering a magical fairy woodland, and you were going into a giant tree trunk. Well, we have sort of reframed and remodeled the tree trunk into various things over the course of the year, and it is now a stand-in for the mountain that we typically have in the center of our display. And so it's a little bit different this year than it has been in the past, but the arrangement of the upper track and the lower track is generally the same. But that is the thing that we can change about it to some extent. This year, the largest and heaviest piece of the track ended up having to go inside that tree trunk, that sort of model tree trunk, which is really just a big giant circle of cedar branches. So it really had to be carefully manipulated. And Jessie said she thought some of the cigars team were cursing her a little bit because it was such a trick this year. But the water features are made to look a little bit different every year. So they're typically in the same spot, but they change it up. So it's something a little bit different all the time. So it makes sense to have, but that's done roughly the same, because then it makes sense to have the bridges and the tunnels and the trestles in basically the same spot. There's a question I see, let's see, it says, will this be available? Oh, we already answered that one. And then, is the display assembled free form or by number? It is not by number, but it is according to a plan. I think just some of the things that Jessie commented on sort of address that, in that it's rough. They always know what they're going to do, but it's not like every piece has to go exactly in the same spot. So hopefully that answers that question for Connie. What other questions are there? I'm happy to answer more. While we are, I mean, if anybody has any other questions, I'm happy to take those, but I also wanted to share a little bit of extra information, because this year our display is not, our holiday display outdoors is vastly expanded. Hopefully everybody has heard about our holiday light display this year. It is called Winter Wonderscape, and it really is fantastic. It's been very popular. It takes place Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights only. You are strongly encouraged to buy tickets online ahead of time. And in fact, I would say you pretty much have to buy tickets online ahead of time, because the shows really have been selling out. So we do have limited capacity. Masks are required, though it is all outdoors. The only time that you would need to go indoors is when you leave. And because of the increase in COVID numbers, we have not included the RG Express in the conservatory as part of the holiday show for the evenings this year. That means that what I'm going to recommend is this: get your tickets online to come see RG Express, or come see the Winter Wonderscape outdoors, and then you get a $2 off ticket to come back during the day and see the RG Express. It wasn't our plan to do it that way, but because we were hoping to have the conservatory open during the holiday light show, but that just didn't work out. So if you are a member, you get a discount on tickets, and you can come back anytime during the day and see the train show. If you are not a member, you can get a $2 off daytime ticket if you come to Winter Wonderscape and see the light show. So the light show is really nice. You get to walk around outside, and you see a lot of different light displays, light tunnels, and other fun stuff.
People who have seen it who are really complimentary. I think people are really enjoying that, so that's super cool. This is kind of another general question. I haven't been to Reiman Gardens since COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
So talk me through how it works. Like, I know you come in only one door now, and are things different? Or, I mean, I know it's probably very easy to figure out, but how do you visit the gardens?
So you can buy tickets online. You can also buy them at the door for regular daytime admission. So you come in the front door. the way you have in the past. For a period of time over the summer, we did redirect all traffic to go in through what we now call our East Gate. It was the original entrance to Reiman Gardens. Sometimes people sort of recognize that as the original entrance. That was, we had a kiosk outside, but now we do have our interior spaces, excuse me, open. And so you just come to the front door and you wear a mask and you come in and buy a ticket, and you can head straight outside if you wish to, or you can stay inside and see the conservatory or the butterfly wing. If you see the butterfly wing, there is a limited capacity, particularly for the butterfly wing, because it is a smaller space, and we do have to have a staff person because it's a USDA regulated facility. We have to regulate people in and out of it, and so it might just take a minute to grab a staff person, but you are welcome. That it is open and you can absolutely come and see it. And the same with the conservatory. Especially weekdays, attendance is generally fairly light. And so if you're trying to social distance and, stay away from people, which a lot of people are right now, that's a pretty good time to come and see. And then of course you can go outside and there's a lot of great stuff to see. We have new paths at the gardens. And so that's something that I'm really excited about, because some of our old paths were getting a little uneven and difficult to navigate, and our new paths are a great remedy to that. There's a lot of great stuff to see in our new spaces. While we have not had an official grand opening for Sycamore Falls, our new garden space, it is open, and so you can walk back there and see everything that's going on back there. So that's exciting. But the visitor experience is generally, hopefully at this point, not too different from what it has been in the past.
Super cool. I read somewhere that oh gosh, now I can't think of his name. Is his name Elroy? What's our
Elwood.
Garden name? Elwood, thank you.
Elwood.
I was like, no, I'm blanking. I heard that he was made out of the biggest gourd that they had. Is he still in the display?
Elwood is not part of our RG Express display. However, the U.S. Botanic Garden had an exhibit of sort of like landmarks and things, sort of oddities, I guess, throughout the country. And the U.S. Botanic Garden in Washington, D.C. had a model of Elwood in their display. So we do not have that, but another garden did in our nation's capital. So that is kind of a fun thing. But Elwood, the world's largest concrete garden gnome, is still here in the garden, and you can go say hello.
Awesome. Super cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's he is still one of our biggest draws. People love to come see Elwood.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I shared. I guess the thing that I was just remembering that I wanted to share was information that I already shared. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that if you are going to come see Winter Wonderscape, buy your tickets online, and honestly do it as soon as possible, because we've been selling out. I think the word's kind of been getting out. It's open. Winter Wonderscape is open through the first weekend in January. I think that January 2nd or 3rd is the last day. So it's just Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. And if you are concerned about distancing, capacity is more limited on Thursday night, so there will be fewer people here and more spacing. So Thursday night would be a good night to look at if you are especially concerned about that.
And I think the trains are there until the 6th, January 6th.
I think that's right. Mm-hmm. And after the trains, we'll move into, we'll start to get ready for our orchid show.
Oh,
it's always what comes next.
Beautiful.
So that will be fun. And we have some exciting plans for orchids next year. Our exhibit for next summer is going to be, to give everybody a little bit of a sneak peek of that, our exhibit is going to be origami in the garden. There is a large scale exhibit of sort of giant origami sculptures that are made out of metal, like a what's the word I'm looking, like an archival, like grade metal. And they are very large scale. So like the origami horse is the size of an actual horse. And they're going to be really cool. And there are a bunch of different pieces. So that's going to be a really fun exploration of that. And we're going to be exploring all kinds of, throughout the year, we'll be exploring all kinds of patterns and geometries in nature.
Super cool.
Nature unfolding, I think is or patterns unfolding, I think is the title for the theme of the year.
Awesome.
Very good. So we have also been able to move a number of our programs online lately. We have featured a number of virtual felting programs, which has been a lot of fun. And of course, the biggest thing that's been happening at the garden, though, has been the light show. Our horticulture team and our events team have really knocked it out of the park with the light show. So, yeah, it's been an exciting December for sure.
Well, I think this is really a super cool way to get excited about the trains and then go see the trains when you feel like you have time to do so. But thank you so much for this.
Oh, of course.
Behind the scene.
It's my pleasure.
I'm not sure how mobile you are, but can you walk around the track with your, or would that
Sure,
just give us all a headache? I'm not sure.
Yeah. No, that's great. I am literally sitting on the floor in the conservatory, so I can get up and walk around the track. And let me see here. I'm gonna do it this way. I'm trying to. I don't, just on my laptop, so I don't have like a reverse view, but I can.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And see. So here is the real-time version of the Marston Water Tower. Our jungle environment here in the conservatory.
It's awesome.
We have this giant plant wall set up in the middle because that helps to kind of create a natural one-way pattern. So there is a covered bridge inspired by the bridges of Madison County. I'm going to go against the grain here and go around this way. You can sort of get a sense for how the giant cylinder in the middle looked like a giant tree trunk earlier this year. And there's the campanile. The gourds, and you can see the pods. I mean, I don't know. Every time I look at these, I see something new, and I think the artistry is just incredible. Those little tiny gourds in the top just kill me. They're the cutest.
They are. They almost look like little people.
I know. They're so darling. Let's see. Their spectacular Christmas tree. The horticulture team really just knocked it out of the park this year. And I love those dried materials. Okay, and here is Beardshire Hall. In the heart of campus and in the heart of the conservatory. Sorry, my laptop camera skills aren't very good.
It's a little more complicated than a phone. I just think it's interesting to see the scale of the space. I know the first time I saw them, I was like, wow, this is a big room, and it really does manage to fill it and make it feel, I don't know. It was just really almost overwhelming.
It really is. It really is. Let me flip around here This is where our volunteer coordinator, Taylor, is set up doing our virtual volunteer event. And here is Morrill Hall, all lit up, looking lovely and inviting. And you can kind of see even some of the wires in there. And there's that shelf fungus making up the steps. And I think it was the walnut bark making up the roof. And the little acorn caps. And, oh, there's the dinky.
Hiding.
Let's see, there's the building and there's the... Oh, and I just realized also one other thing in terms of the behind the scenes component. I think I had some photographs that somehow got left out of my presentation, but I'll sneak in here and show you what I was going to show you. So, the controls. So here I am next to the Christmas tree, in between the Christmas tree and Beardshire Hall. I'm going to step up here into this secret little hut because this is where we find the train controls. One's for the upper track and the lower track. Sorry, I'm kind of awkwardly balancing here, so I'm not giving the best look. So great. Yeah, so that we have the secret little train controls in there. And I think the speaker for the music is in that vicinity as well. And they've sort of cleverly hidden them with there's that little hut right there, cleverly hidden them with the cedar.
Okay, so everyone on the call needs to stay away from the secret boxes. Even though we now know where they are.
You can just point it out from afar.
That's right.
So that's it. That's all of it.
Thank you so very much. Are there any final questions for Jacqueline while we're still on the phone or on the Zoom, I guess?
Oh, I see. I see Carol is joining us from Virginia. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Fun. Yeah, so we will make sure, and I will make sure. I currently have the photographs. The video that I shared is just something that I put together. It's not the most professional thing that the Gardens has ever produced, but I would be happy to share that link with everybody. And there is some setup. The time-lapse videos of the installation are available on YouTube as well. So I will make sure and share those with you, Jen, and then I'll let you distribute them to everybody.
That'd be great.
So, all right.
That would be perfect. All right. If there's no more questions, I know we're wrapping up a little early, but I think people are okay with that. The Zoom time is different. Like it's just
everything in Zoom land is definitely condensed. It's not the same. It's not the same.
I do miss you all, but I do appreciate your coming out tonight to listen. Thank you so much, Jacqueline, for volunteering to do this. We knew that we were trying something new, and I think it worked out great. So virtual applause.
This is a lot of fun.
So,
and it's a treat to get to be here at night. I'm not here this time of day too often.
Yeah, so. It is a beautiful space in the evening, I think. That's when I like to go.
It is. So hopefully we'll all get to do more of this kind of thing soon.
Yes. And as you said, they're being super careful at the Gardens. So if you do want to visit, trust that they'll take care of you. And
absolutely. Absolutely.
Lots of new things coming in all the time. So,
yes. Yeah. So come see Winter Wonderscape and plan to join us in 2021 for origami. come see the orchids starting in January. And I mean, really, if any place that you can go and visit, you can be outdoors as much as you want when you're here.
Right.
So,
right.
Light strange here.
And we do put lots of their events in our newsletter. So if you're not on our newsletter list, check out our website, sign up there. You can do that without being a member, of course. You can get the newsletter just by asking for it. Both the gardens and the Arts Council have one, so please feel free to sign up. And I think that is about it. I'm reading all the things. Don't miss the great offerings and opportunities at Reiman Gardens. Thanks for the presentation. I've got my tech guy upstairs running the chat. So I'm like, what's he saying now?
He's good.
I love it. I love it so much. Thank you guys. Thank you everyone. And if you think of any questions, you all have my email address. So without further ado, I think we can call it an evening unless someone comes up with something. I'll read through one more time. Yeah, like Leanne says the same thing. Now we know where the secret controls are. Treat them with care.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you
well,
so
we'll share all these links. And thanks very much to everybody. Great to see you all.
Take care. Have a good evening.
Right.
Stay warm.
Bye.
Bye-bye.